today I'm gonna be talking about books and movies and which should you do first, watch it or read it. Most people, I would say, would advise you to read the books before you watch the movies or the TV shows, because the books are always better. This is a fact, I completely agree. But I have to say that I enjoy watching the movie first. This is good movies and good books. I'm specifically, of course, talking about Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones. Both were things that I watched before I started reading. So the film piqued my interest in the story and I went to explore further. I read the book and it's like opening Pandora's box of information. It's like you thought I thought Lord of the Rings was over. And I read the books and I was like, there's so much more. And then I did further research and realized there's the Silmarillion, there's unfinished tales. And that blew my mind. When I first saw Lord of the Rings, I had no idea what it was. I didn't know. I was in elementary school when the movies came out, so I had never heard of it. I had actually read The Hobbit, but I didn't know it was connected, stupidly. So I saw the movies and it was just like, what is this? This is my favorite thing I've ever seen. And then I finally was just like, oh no, the trilogy's over. What am I gonna do? So I was like, oh, I'll read the book. And it was so much better than I could have imagined. So it was like, it was a continuation of one of my favorite things, and that was fantastic. I feel that if you read the books first, in most cases you're going to be disappointed with the movie. Because it's never going to be as good. They can never add as much information as you would like to see. It's also disappointing when you have a certain idea of what a character looked like or sounded like or how they said certain lines, and then you watch an actor portray it and it's completely different than you imagined. And personally, I would rather go into a movie like with, in the hopes of liking it. I read the Hunger Games trilogy before I saw the first movie that came out, and I was a little disappointed. And I'm not saying the movie was bad, it's just I thought it would be so much cooler than that. By the way, side note, Hunger Games movie. They did do a good job because it's a first-person narrative, right? So how do you, and she's by herself in the woods a lot of that, the book and the movie. So how do you, do that, explain things without having her talk to herself? So I thought it was really smart the way they did the ESPN style commentary, and I really wanted them to make the Hunger Games rated R and just go for it, because I thought it took away from the message of the stories was that it's this glorified game that all the rich people are like, oh, it's so fun to watch on TV, but the true nature of the game is death and killing and blood and gore, and I think that the book is so graphic in that, and that is why it proves its point. And I see why they did that, but I was just like, man, I gotta see Battle Royale apparently. Because I've seen Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings first and then read the books, now I can like both of them for what they are as the separate entities, instead of just already being pissed off about the movie not being what I wanted it to be. With Game of Thrones, I watched the show and people are like, you're gonna love this. I was like, okay, because everyone's like, you have to watch the show, you have to watch the show, and I really don't watch a lot of TV and movies, so I gave it a shot and I loved it. So what did I do? I got the books, of course. As far as Game of Thrones, I kind of don't want to pass up the seasons with me reading the books because the show is so good and the acting is so great, and you never know what's going to happen next. I feel like it would just kind of ruin the experience of watching the show. Yeah, I know what's going to happen when I read the books, but it's slightly different, and with more information, so I understand it more, it's more informative, but when you're watching a show, it's just thrilling. And books, yes, books can be very thrilling, but not quite as thrilling as not knowing what to expect during the Red Wedding and then, I don't know, I prefer that. I think actors or storytellers in plays and movies is just as valuable as a method of storytelling as reading a book is. Of course I think that it's my profession. That's why I do it. And I think it's very important. So when I see a movie or an actor's portrayal of something, I'm not like, well, it's not the book. I'm like, wow, that was some great storytelling. So I almost want the actors of Game of Thrones to tell me what happens next more than what I would see in my head. My phone. Oh well. I feel like sometimes people who read the books first are a little more pretentious about it. They're like, well, I read the books and, it's not exactly, I don't know why my pretentious has a British dialect. I'm not trying to be offensive. Stupid. But it's like they go into it not wanting to like it because they're like, well, I'm the expert here. Like, subscribe. I'll be getting back on music pretty soon here. I've had a really busy schedule, so it's coming back. Thank you for watching my video. This is Pretentious British Person. I don't think all British people are pretentious, but when I'm acting pretentious, I talk in a British dialect. And it has nothing to do with me doing a Christmas carol right now. Alright, I'm done talking. Tietz out! I feel that I want to make a t-shirt that says Tietz out and wear it. If there were t-shirts that said Tietz out, would you buy them? Not a bad idea. Okay, but really, bye. I'm leaving.